Welcome to Wix number 2. My name is Don. I answer to stop, slow down, hey you, say that again, didn't catch the first time around, etc. You could yell at the screen all you want. I won't hear you because this is a video. But I do listen to you. Kelsey has said, hey, there's a few people who had asked for certain things within your next Wix video. Could you make sure that this happens? And that's what I'm going to go through right now. So, yes, please tell us about what you want to see, especially Kelsey, and I will go ahead and make sure that this happens. Some of the things that have been asked about for Wix that I'm going to go over in this class are, first one, making a much more dynamic web page. This is what she told me, but what I inferred was that we want something that's a lot more eye-catching, not just a static web page out of 2010, but something that is maybe a little bit more that pops. I was going to say flashy. That kind of talks about flash, and I really don't mean that because we're trying to get away from that. But I'll try to do something that's a little bit more animated. How about that? A little bit more like that. Also, we'd like to set up galleries. So I'm going to assume that we're having products and that we would like to set up a gallery either by a slider or by a grid. So we'll go over both of those. Doing online purchases and marketing. Now, I'll do a little bit about that. And this is then going to go into Facebook and Google console, Search Console, etc. These are really great things, but I don't know if you guys have ever done that or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like creating a page in Facebook at the end of this video. So in case you've never done a page or you're wondering why would I create a page in Facebook, I'll tell you all about it there. And then one of the last one is then to sync up Wix and things like Instagram so that you do a lot less programming or a lot less typing. If you have a new product, you want to put it in once and not necessarily put it in Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Put it in one place and then it goes out to everywhere else. All right, let's go ahead and get started. What I did right now was I logged into my Wix account and I went to the old fish store that we were playing around with in the first video. Before I do anything else, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make sure that I am looking at it as though a customer coming in would be taking a look at it. So I'm going to open up an incognito mode. In Google, in Google Chrome, you could open up a browser that doesn't have you logged in. And because it doesn't have you logged in, you're not going to be able to see the editor and other stuff that's on there. This is how a user coming to your site would see it, and I do this all the time. One site has what I'm doing as coding or whatever, and then the other part of my window has up what the user sees. So to start an incognito mode in Google, I'll click anywhere, and then it's Control-Shift-N as in Nancy. And you can see, yep, you've gone incognito. This is great, but I want to see both things on at the same time. I don't want to just, kind of switch between the two. So in Windows, if I want to see two windows open at the same time and taking up half the screen, I could just move one window over to an edge, and as soon as my cursor hits that edge, I'm going to get a little flash, and I can see it's going to take up half the screen. And then the second one is right there. So now I have the back end right here, and I have my incognito window here, what the people would see. So let's see what our website looks like right now. I'm going to copy its URL, and I'm going to paste it. And boom, I can just go ahead and get rid of that website, and oh, come on. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Otherwise, I'm going to preview my site. So if I come over here, sites, there we go. And, whoops, I even saw it. This one, my sites, and then there it is, fish store, sorry. So if I click on that, it shows me, yep, there it is, the Wix site fish store. And if I click over here, paste it on there. Awesome. So between those, this is what people would see right now. This is what I have that I can start editing with. The first thing that I heard from was, hey, we want to have a little bit more interesting front page than just our little static picture here. I think that that's wonderful. So there's a couple of things that we could do. But the one that I'm going to say, the one that's probably easiest for us to accomplish technically, is just to put a video up there that kind of runs through stuff and that people could click on to see if they wanted to listen to the audio if you wanted to put it in there. So let's go ahead and edit a little bit of the site. I'll come back here to Edit Site on the lower left-hand side. Click. I used Control while I clicked on it, so it opened it up into a new tab. Now I'll just take these back down. There we go. And here is my fish store. I like the image, but it is very static. I want to put in a dynamic image. So I'm going to click on the image and then delete. And when I delete, there it is. One of the last ones, I think we put in some vectored art here. I can delete that. So now I have a strip in here that just says, yep, here's the fish store. What would you like to put in there? I'm going to add. So over on the left-hand side, the first part will talk about, the site menu, things that you can do, the different pages that you're at. The next one is going to show about backgrounds, making it look good in the back. And then the next one down, the plus, is going to show the different items that you can add to it. So I believe we did some text and images before. We might have even done, no, I don't think we did a button. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to video and music. Now, I want to put in a video player. There's different places that you could do it. You could do it from Vimeo, Dailymotion, from Facebook, but the easiest one to go to is just YouTube. Grab a YouTube video and put it in there. You could even change it around using your YouTube Studio if you wanted to do special things with it. So I'm going to select this, and just like anywhere in Windows or even in a Mac, I can drag and drop it. So click on the YouTube video and then drag it, and as I drag it in towards this strip, I can see that it becomes active. When I let go, boom, there we go. We now have a Wix player, and it's going to come up with the Wix default video. A lot of fun, not very useful to a fish store. I'm going to make it a little bit larger so it goes across the entire strip, so it'll be as big as possible. And now I have to select a video. I went out to YouTube previously and I found the video, the URL or the address of the video that I want, and I copy that. So when I click on this video, it says, what things would you like to do? The first one is, I'm going to change the video. So it says, where is your, what's your video's web address? I'll select it off of here. And paste it in. And then this is a fishing video. Now it's going to give us some great things that we can do with this video. The first one is, do we want to autoplay it? Meaning when they walk in, when they come to our site, do we want it to start playing? Absolutely. That'll make sure that it's all nice and dynamic. So I'll click on that. It becomes a little checkbox. And it says, your video will autoplay on mute. Visitors can switch the sound on. I've had other people who've said, nope, I want the sound on automatically. No, it is not possible. All the browsers nowadays, because people will be doing this in bed at night, they don't want to all of a sudden spring up and have people have videos with sound going and you wake up people, etc. So everywhere out there, it's always going to be on mute. Second one, I want to play it in a loop. I don't want it to just go and then stop. I want it to go, and then when it reaches the end, I'll have it go again. Click on this. Beautiful. So the last one, the video description, this is going to come out pretty good, or this is going to be useful when we do search engine optimization and for being found with Google. So I'm going to say, showing items in our fishing store. All right, hit enter, and now I will publish this. It'll go and say, yep, congratulations, your fishing store is done. Let's take a look at how it's going to look as a user. Come over here to the fish store, hit refresh, and after a second, after it loads up, we're the fish store, and it's going to start going through and it says, yep, there is your fish scent, etc. And notice that it is muted. So this is good. We want to make sure that we mute our videos when we're doing it. Of course, this would be where I say, is there any questions? But you can yell at me all you want. I won't hear it. Remember to put it down into an email, send it to Kelsey, and I will go ahead and answer them. Now, some of you might say, hey, this is kind of nice because I do have some stuff that I want to do or to show off. I want to show myself saying things. How can I do this? Well, grab an iPhone, grab any kind of video kind of recording device, including a web cam, and you could go ahead and record it, and you could do some pretty amazing stuff with free versions of software. And the free version, or the software that I use for video production, is one called Lightworks. So if you say, hey, Kelsey, tell us a little bit about Lightworks, I could go ahead and write a class on a 1-hour class on Lightworks about how to put in things such as a logo, put in sounds, blur stuff out, etc. All right, beautiful. That is eye-catching home pages. Next thing around, what I want to do is I want to put in a couple of different galleries. We now have an online store. This is wonderful. But what I want to do, I don't really want to see this, so I'm just going to go here to the shop. I just don't want it to run and run and run. So what I want to do is I want to be able to go to the shop and see items in different ways. You can see right now that what we set up originally was just our gear here, and it's in a grid format. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 new pages on there and show you 2 different ways to put in the gallery. So first, let's create the pages. Top buttons, menus and pages. When I click on that, here are my 3 pages, and I can move them up and down to different locations to show it in different ways. And instead, I'm going to say add page. Automatically adds it and calls it new page, but nope, that's not very descriptive. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this one grid layout. Done. And then add a page, and I'm going to call this one slider layout. Oops. All right. Oh, come on. Click, click. Boom, there we go. All right, so now I have 2 more pages that I can use. Click off of it. I can see grid layout and slider layout. I'm going to go to my grid layout right now. How about that? Boom. So grid layout, I have nothing here except except my page. So I want to change my page right now. I want to put in a strip. Remember all the stuff that we're putting in there, the little pieces of a Wix web page are on strips. So I'm going to go here to add, and then down here is one called, up here, excuse me, is a strip. Now, they have a lot of things that are built in, the About Us, the Contact, the Services. I'm just going to go to the classic one, which is like a black background, a white background, or different kinds of pictures. I'll take the blank background and poof, sorry, I clicked on it and boom, it automatically came up and put a strip there. Now that I have a strip there, I can add another item to that strip, and I'm going to add a grid layout. Again, a plus, and now I have my galleries. Now I have grid galleries, and I have slider galleries. So I'm going to do a grid gallery. Awesome. And maybe that was not exactly the one that I wanted, because I was looking for maybe see, I'll bet you the store. Yeah. So I was doing it with the store. For the person who asked for the gallery, go ahead and tell Kelsey if you were actually meaning a store gallery or just a regular picture gallery. I'm figuring store, since that's what we did last time. So click on store, and then the first one here is a grid product gallery. Perfect. Just like in Windows or in Solitaire, click on your item, drag and hold over the top of your strip, and then when you let go, boom, it goes ahead and it puts it in there. Now, the grid that I have is way too big for my strip, because you can see the strip in the background, and then this little piece is the page. I don't particularly like that. I want my strip to go all the way down and match my grid. So click on the edge of the strip, and I can see that I have a little arrow pointing down that says stretch. Click, hold, and I'll just drag it down here until it reaches the footer. Boom. And now those two are kind of linked together. Beautiful. Now, we have some products here, but is this the way that we want our grid to be? Right now, it's 4 by 5, I believe, 5 or 6, 4 by 4. We can change all of that around. Click anywhere here in the grid, and then it says Manage Products or Settings. I like Settings. So if I click on Settings, it talks a little bit about the different ways that we can play around with this grid. We have all of our products from the first class when we were setting up the grid. So we're looking at all products, but I could look at very specific products if I want. So if you have different products, or if you have a lot of products based off of different categories, gear versus clothing versus other stuff, you could do it with the different sections that are here. I have all products in gear. I'll keep it with all products right now. Next one is layout. How do we want our pictures and our text and our numbers to look? So right now it's just pictures, numbers, text. We could have it just pictures. We could have it with a box around it, centered, etc. How do we want it to be? Right now it's cropped, so it's zoomed in and it's made them as big as it can be, and it's cut off the edges. But you could change that to be fit. So everything is going to always show, but it might be a little bit smaller. In this case, that's what I'm going to do in this case. Image ratio, and then that last one, what I wanted to do down here, was columns, rows, and spacing. So instead of 4 columns, I'm much more about 5. I want to have 5 columns. And instead of 5 rows, I'm just going to have 3 columns, something like that. Bunch of other stuff that you could do here, that's okay. Instead, I am just going to say, yep, we're done with that, and close. So I can see what it looks like. Again, I'm going to take my strip, I'm going to move it up a little bit, and boom, this looks pretty good. So let's see what it looks like to a person, to a user of our website. I published it because I want to make sure that my changes actually get put out there. And now I come back to the person, refresh, and now it's going to show me home and grid layout. Yep, click on grid layout, and there it is. Pops in. You can see that everything's a little bit smaller. As I hover over the top of it, it shows me quick view, etc. Not bad. Looks pretty good. That is grid layout. Let's do the next one, which is a slider layout. A slider might have a few of them there, but then we'll have arrows pointing to the left and right that usually you could click on, and you can move to the next set of things that are looking at it. The good part about this is usually the pictures are larger and you can see them. The bad part is lots of people don't know that they're going to be sliders. So you might only be looking at 3 products when you have, for us, 15 products. But let's play around with that. I'm going to go up here to this page, and instead of a grid layout, I'm going to the slider layout page. Again, blank page right here that I'd like to add a strip. Click on add, and then strip. I'll come down here to the classic one with that background, and boom, put it right up against the footer. All right, now I'd like to add store, and now I have a slider product gallery. Click, hold, drag, let go, and boom, there we are. You can see that my slider gallery is a little bit small and it's pushed off to the edge. That's because I just dropped it right in there. There we are. I need to make sure that it fits well. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set it so that the slider gallery is at the edge of the header and the margin of the page. I'm going to go over the slider gallery, and I'm looking for my cursor to change into a white crossed arrow. When I see that, that's like playing solitaire, that I could click, hold, and drag a card around. So I'm going to click, hold, and then drag the card up here. And it even snaps into place. So as I'm moving, and then it kind of just snaps to 0, snaps to this Y200, and there I go. I have a slider here. Now I could, I have edges. So if I wanted to drag it down, I can drag it down like this. But it's also showing me, it's just saying, hey, we've got these 4 items in the slider. It doesn't matter how big you're going to try to make this. I'm going to snap it back into place because you only have 4. Notice again, because of our pictures, we have 4 of them, etc., it's kind of smaller. It has to squish in there. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of one of the products so that there's only 3 products. Each product will become larger, and because of that, the slider will come down closer to the footer. So let's watch this. Click on the slider, come here to settings. Again, how do I want it to be how do I want it to, what things do I want to put in there? But in this case, the layout, come down here, and down here at the bottom, it's the columns 4, columns 3. Poof, you saw in the background it became a little bit larger. And the spacing between those, I can make it 10, etc. If I make it a little bit smaller, it'll make it a little bit taller, but again, not much that we can do with that. So, close out of here. I now have 3 items in here that I can play with, or that I could show, and it's also a slider. Publish. It's been updated. Now, as my user, I can come out here to slider layout, and when I do, didn't publish, let's do that again. Publish it, done, go slider layout, and refresh. There it is. So now I can see my gear, favorite fishing spots, fish store, fish smell, etc. And as I said, this is now a slider. So instead of seeing everything here, I have to click on the arrow, and I can go to the next one, the next one, the next one, etc. All right. Again, you could go here to settings. You could change the layout, the settings. What do you want to do when it shows? So the gallery title, the product name, price divider, other things that you could do with that. How do you want the text to look if there's an out of stock message? Design the background color and fun things like that. And I think that would be about it. Yeah, manage store and quick view. So, few of the other items that you can use with the slider gallery. All right, I would say any questions, but you could yell all you want. Next thing, social media. Anyone who's hung around with me long enough knows that I'm pretty lazy. And I don't mean that in a rude type of thing. People will say, hey, you know, I will work really hard at making sure that I do something once or have it automated so that it doesn't have that I don't break in other ways. Meaning, when I put something out there, I want it to automatically go to 3 other places because I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to do that to, again, Facebook and then Instagram and then other places. So I want to hook up my website to social media. When I do that, what's going to happen is it's going to say whenever I add something here to my store, it can automatically add it to those social media things. So it looks like I'm doing stuff. Love it. Let's go to the back again. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And in this case, it's going to go to the marketing and SEO. SEO standing for search engine optimization, which we'll get to a little bit later. When I click on that, it says there's your SEO, there's this one, and now I have my sales channels, Facebook and Instagram. What I was originally asked for was for it to be on Instagram, but Instagram is owned by Facebook. So technically, we have to go through Facebook first before we can get to Instagram. So, and in fact, that's even on my handout, which says that if you try to go straight to Instagram, it says, nope, you have to set up a Facebook business first, Facebook store. So I'm going to click on Facebook, And in here, it says, okay, you'd like to start selling your products on Facebook. Let's do this. Start now. Unfortunately, it knows exactly that I've went ahead and I've made pages already. I used to teach a class on social media. So when it brings it up, I have the bar, the dive, and then the dive bar. So in this case, I'm going to use the dive bar. Click on this and select the page. What I did was these are pages that are linked to my Facebook account. So for you, if you don't see anything here, if you were looking to do your Facebook stuff, you'll have to create a page. I'm going to do that at the end of this video. So I'll select this page. After a second or two, it's going to talk to us about the program's terms. Read and accept to continue. It's going to talk about a whole bunch of things, inclusive, I think they get my firstborn child. She's been offered out a few times by now. Click on this, and then there you go. You're creating your Facebook shop for this. After a few minutes, after a few seconds, I should say, it's going to have a shop for you based out of Facebook. So, and then this will be a page. So when people go to your page, they will see that it also has a shop available to it, and they will see items based upon your Wix store. So when you add in something to Wix, it's automatically going to be added to your Facebook page. And boom, there you go. My Facebook page is now live. And I can see that I have a couple of favorite fishing spots, and then those are published right now. And that is awesome. So I can see that, yep, it's starting to come in and it's publishing those items. Let me show you what we see here. This is the dive bar, and this is from Don. So I'm going to open up Facebook, and I apologize for anybody or for any of my friends who are saying weird, stupid things on Facebook. Dangers of a live presentation. But instead, I'm going to go here to the dive bar. When I do, I believe that's the one that I used. And when I do, I can now see, that's me managing the page. Did I go to the dive bar? The dive bar. Awesome. All right. So down here, I should see, there you go. I now have a shop, and on here I have products within that shop. The dive bar is when I was teaching social media, I created a page, etc. So this doesn't really exist. But right now I have a shop, and that anytime I add a new product, it's automatically going to show up here in my shop. So let's go ahead and try that out. I have my products here, and I want to go ahead and put in a new lure. So I have a picture of a lure over here, and I'm going to go back here to my main menu. I'm going to go to my store products, and I'm going to add a new product. This one's a physical item because it's a lure. I got to send it off to you. I'll add an image, and I will drag my lure in here. And after a second, boom, I have a lure. Awesome. I'm going to add it to the page, which basically says, yep, there is your image and video. So now I need a product name, and I'll say fishing lure. And again, what ribbon do you want to put it in? I'll put it in with gear. We already have the gear ribbon. Price is $10. And I can say a lure that says fishy, fishy, fishy. All right, I believe we went through other stuff before about the custom items and tracking inventory, etc. In this case, I'll have an inventory of 10 and an SKU of a lure. And the weight is ½ pound. All right, save. Oops, I let me fix that. Fishing ye. So I'm going to say fishing lure. Save again. All right, now I have a fishing lure. Since Facebook and Wix are now hooked together, whenever I added anything into Wix, it should automatically come up in my Facebook. So it's right here, and right here it doesn't show very much. I might have to say see all. And when I do, let's see how fast it went through there. And I don't see my lure quite yet. So there's gear. Let's see if I then do a refresh. And if I don't see it, I might have to look at, yeah, I don't see it quite yet, fishing lure. So it's already started up. Even though it's not here in gear, I can see that fishing lure has already shown up. It needs a little bit of time bringing the picture and other stuff to it. But this is great. I put it in on my Wix store. Now all of a sudden it's on my page in Facebook. I didn't have to do anything extra. All right, beautiful. There's additional stuff in the handout that I'm going through right now. So if you have a problem, you could refer to my handout. All right, so that's with Facebook. The next one that I want to do is to do it with Instagram. So Instagram is owned by Facebook. So we had to set it up as a Facebook store before we went to Instagram. So back here to main menu, back here to marketing and SEO, and now down here to Instagram. After a second, it's going to now say, hey, start selling your products on Instagram, start now. So I want to, right now my Facebook shop is connected to the dive bar. That's good. Now I need to take my Instagram and then also hook it to my Wix. Connect Instagram portfolio, and then there you go, connect to Instagram, and I'd like to connect account. Now it's going to go out there and look to see if I have an Instagram account, and then I have to look hook to. I have an Instagram account. This is my dummy Instagram account. So I'll click on that and click log in. When I do, it's taking my Instagram and then creating a bridge in between those two. This Instagram is already connected to a Facebook page, and yeah, well, I don't care. Huh. Okay. Well, that is a bummer. But because what happened was when I was writing this up, I went ahead and I put it into my Instagram account. So it's saying, okay, shopping on Instagram, he puts it in there, and then it should link up and you should be able to see it on your Instagram feed. Unfortunately, yes, my Instagram account I've already put in for the one when I made the handouts, so that was a little bit of a problem. If you have problems doing yours, let me know. I will help you put your Instagram account, hook it to your Wix site. So there you go. All right, last thing that we're going to be talking about today before I go into other stuff, and that is search engine optimization, or SEO. So there's the search engine tools. Now, did you know that we could have found bin Laden in 2006? It was just that his hideout was put on page 3 of Google and nobody ever looked there. Small joke. But what that is it shows a deeply held belief. If you're not on Google, and if you're not pretty far up on Google, nobody is ever going to find you. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get placed on Google. So lots of different ways to do this, but the first one is what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to the SEO tools, and I want to get found on Google. Start now. All right, so start now. So we're going to go through a wizard that connects up to Google, and it will tell us about, that will tell Google about our sites. Google will be very good to us, will put us up higher if we do a little bit of the work for them. Meaning, what's our store name? What kinds of things are key phrases? Who are we looking to attract? Where are we located? Because of course, if this is a local business, they want to give it to people who are around you. All right, so fish store, yep, that's my site name. I'll click on next. And now, do we have a business location? I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say that it's 123 Main Street in Grand Marais. Yep. Minnesota. Gonna work? There you go. Worked. Yay. Now, up to three words that are up to three keyword phrases that describe your business. So when people are looking for your business in Google, when they put something in here like this, then your stuff should show up, right? So let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm going to say fishing supply store. Hit enter. Yep, it likes that. I'm going to say fishing apparel. I can't spell. Fishing apparel. Let's get rid of that one. Go back in. Fishing apparel. All right. And I'll say fishing equipment. Awesome. These are the things that when people are looking for my business, this is what I want them, I want to be able to be found. Beautiful. Create my SEO plan. So it's going to go through there, crunch up the ways that Google needs it to be, and it hands it out there. When it crunched it up and looked at it, it found certain things that it really didn't like. First one, update the homepage's title on the search engines, change the search engine description, a couple of pluses here, and then connect your site to a domain and then Search Console. I want to talk to you towards the end about the Google Search Console. It's really cool. But I never bought into Wix yet, so I don't have a premium. If you want to see that, again, ask Kelsey for it, and I will get a site set up on Wix, and we'll start going from there. So let's try a few other things. The two things at once was, first off, update the homepage's title on search engines. So I'm going to go for it. All right, so I'm going to go to the editor. Right now, our titles are very nondescript. It just says something to the tune of, here is my home fish store. They're saying like, hey, you know what? What's better is if your page title is much more descriptive, especially for your home page about what your fish store does. So I'm going to click somewhere in here, the home fish store, home fish store, a world-renowned place for fishing gear and apparel. Awesome. So what I did was I made my title a lot more descriptive about my site. So instead of just saying home fish store, I gave it some more description of it. Again, world-renowned place would probably not be what I would want to put in. I would want to put in more information about the site. So, a place for, let's change that around. World-renowned, I guess I don't really care too much about that. A store for fishing gear and apparel and anything else. So your major categories, those are the ones that should go in there. Now the next one, what's this page about? I want to tell Google and a few other places a little bit more about my site. A store. So I want to say, let's see if I put in a few more. Lures, maps, and fishing apparel. That would have been much better. So what is this page about? The home page for the fish store. A place for lures, maps, and fishing apparel. Awesome. All right, so if I close this down, it should now have, I will save that page. And if I then publish it, I'll see that my title is different. So for example, up here on this very top, it says slider layout fish store. When I go back home to my home page, I'll see that it's much more verbose. After I hit home and do a refresh, there we go, publish. Let's try that again. Refresh one more time. There you go. I can see now it says a fish store, a store for fishing gear and apparel. Because of its placement in the title, Google says, yep, this must be a little bit more important than anything else. So if somebody looks for fish store, it's going to give you a higher ranking than if it was someplace else in the text. All right, now if I again go back here to my dashboard, and I can see this, if I refresh, hopefully it's going to say that we're done with that. Little checkbox. Still doesn't like it, but it does like my SEO's description is pretty good. So I think I would have to update the homepage's title on search engines a little bit more. But once I get a whole bunch of pluses there, it's pretty good, which will then I can connect to Google, which is the last portion of our class. I could see that I'm about 45 minutes in. So what I wanted to do now was just to say this is about the end of the stuff that I want to do for Wix. The next two things that I'm going to cover are about doing pages in Facebook and when we would be doing pages, and using the search console within Google. I have classes on both social media and the search engine stuff. So if you want to see any of that, just to ask Kelsey and I can go ahead and post those videos also. All right, first, let's talk about adding a page to Facebook. So I'm going to go here to Facebook. Again, I apologize for any of my friends in advance. So, why would I create a page in Facebook? Think about Walmart. Walmart might have 10 million followers. And for them to put stuff out onto their page, or the way that followers would work or friends would work, they would actually have to have some guy there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just accepting friend requests. So because that is not very possible, it just is not feasible, they said that we can now have pages. And a page is a way that people can come up and say, yes, I want to be able to follow you. And you don't have to say, yes, I know who you are, I'm going to allow you to follow me. So pages are much more of a opt-in kind of thing. So for us to create a page, I'm going to go here to facebook.com and then go here to /pages and then /create. And as soon as I hit it, there we go. I can create a new page. Again, do anything that you want. I've already done the dive bar, but it seems that I'm doing my fishing store here. So I'm going to say the page name is required. I'm going to say fish store. The category is going to be fishing store. Sounds pretty good. I could do another thing, such as fishing charter. So if I gave out charters, I'd be able to do that. I could even put in another one. So the fish store is a world-renowned place for fishing equipment and gear and apparel. And as you can tell, spelling was never my forte. So I can just come over here. It gave me a little red squiggle underneath there. So when I see that, I can right click and I can rename it to equipment, and renown was with a W. Oops, there we go. And if I create the page after a second, poof, it's set up, my page, etc. Now I should add a few things, such as images and a cover photo. So I want to put when you go to anybody else's page, they have stuff in the back, and then they have the profile pic in there that we saw with the dive bar. So in my case, what I'll do is I'll put in for my cover photo, I'll put in a boat. Maybe you might recognize where this boat is. So let's go here. There's my boat. Awesome. And I'll go ahead and reposition it so it's right there. And then I'll add a profile picture, and for that I'll just put in the lure, which is right there. Awesome. Save. And I've now created a page that other people can say, yes, I want to go ahead and follow you when you make changes to your website. I want to, or when you make changes to your store, I want to see them automatically within my Facebook feed. Beautiful. So that is a Facebook page. Last one that I want to do is talk about the Google Search Engine Console. Now, I've done that. I've used the Google Search Console for about 10 years. Again, have a class in it. Actually, I've been doing it now for about 15 years. Sorry about that. And it's a great way to find out where people are coming in and how they're coming in. So I'm going to go here to Google, and I'm going to say Search Console Dashboard Google without links. All right. Now, Google Search Engine Console tool tells about the things that are here. What's going to happen is Google is going to tell you about how people are using your site, how they're getting there, how long they stay on the site, etc. What I did was I have a lot of different sites that I do stuff with. But one of them I do is with my old Boy Scout troop way back when I was a Boy Scout near Chicago. So I've set up their website, and I've put in their stuff within their console. So in here, you could see things such as how many people are looking at their site through every single day. You could also see how many pages there are that are there that are valid or have errors. So if you had a problem with one of your pages, this part right here will tell us, hey, this page right here, change it because it doesn't work. Now you could also see that it says your site has been switched to mobile first indexing. Google about 2 years ago was saying like, hey, more people are coming online using their phones than the desktop. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at it as though people were looking at it using their phone. When they do that, we're going to tell you about any problems that they might have on their phone. So right now I can see that I have no errors there and that everything looks pretty good. Awesome. So that is my performance overview. I can see that about 2 to 4 people are looking at it per day. It's a Boy Scout site. I have no problem with that. That my pages, 144 of them, seem to be in there, that they're doing pretty good, etc. Let's look a little bit more about things that are going on. So I'm going to do something like coverage. Now, let's do, again, performance is just going to show me, there you go. Performance right here, it says total clicks within this time frame, so for the last 3 months, had 77 people through there. In total impressions, times that it might have shown up somewhere that somebody looked at it, was about 2,300. And we can see that here are your impressions and here are many clicks that are going through there. Now, how are people finding your site? Very important, because if you're looking for a fish site, you want to make sure that when people are typing in fish scent, that they come to your site, or fish gear, that they come to your site. Google is now telling me that, hey, when people are looking for my site, or this site, they'll say Troop 533, or they'll say Troopmaster Web Login, Merit Badge, etc. How many clicks, how many people have seen it through that. So in this case, when people type something into Google, they're showing us how many times that would have ended up coming to our site. And in there, we could also look at pages. So this will be the last one that I'm going to show you for today. But you want to know what people are going to your website for, because if you're talking about fish stuff and you have all these things about lures and bait and all that, but you find out everybody is coming to your store about the fish scent, well, you want to put a little bit more time and energy into the fish scent because that's probably where you're making your money. In this case, I can see that most people are coming to the website talking about the Engineering Merit Badge PDF. And other people are like Troop Master web setup for Troop 533 parents. How many times that's shown up. So I can see here that yes, this is pretty good, and I go here to impressions. There you go. The Troop Master setup for 533 parents, those are by far things that are most frequent. So this is just part of what's called search engine optimization. I have a class that goes through a whole lot of this kind of stuff, mobile usability, again, where they come in from, what devices they're using, etc. So if you wanted to know about that, you can talk to Kelsey about that. All right, I believe that is about it. So I'm going to let you go and talk to Kelsey and tell her what else you'd like to see.